The call reaches you at the exact hour normal people are still pretending the day can be controlled. Unknown number, calm voice, no static, no obvious script. He says your full name the way a bank would say it. Then he says there has been suspicious activity near a city you actually visited last week. He knows which card was flagged. He knows the last 4 digits. He knows the small purchase you made on the highway when you were tired and not thinking. And suddenly the fear is not that this is fake. The fear is that it might be real. That is how the call works. Not by sounding insane. By sounding 1 inch more informed than a stranger should ever be. You do not feel like you are speaking to a criminal. You feel like you are speaking to a system that already opened your file before you picked up. He says he is here to help. He says they just need to verify one thing. And in that moment, you understand the real power of the voice on the line. It is not the accent. It is not the script. It is not even the spoofed caller ID. It is the fact that your life is already sitting in front of him in pieces. People imagine scam calls begin inside some noisy room full of cheap headsets and fake urgency. That is too late in the story. The scam call begins much earlier. It begins when your email is attached to a loyalty account. It begins when your phone number is copied from a shipping record. It begins when your address gets merged with an old credit file, an insurance quote, a people search page, a data broker database, a breach dump, a marketing profile, and a list you never knew existed. By the time the phone rings, the hard part is already done. The caller is not discovering you in real time. The caller is inheriting you. Your habits, your city, your age bracket, your likely bank, your likely stress points, maybe even the fact that fraud already hit one of your accounts once before. That is why the call feels personal before it feels suspicious. It was personalized before the number was ever dialed. If you read enough recent scam reports, the same scene keeps repeating. A caller claims to be from the bank. They already know the customer name. They know the phone number. Sometimes they know the address. Sometimes they know the social security number. Sometimes they know a recent trip, a billing provider, or a fraud event that actually happened days earlier. And that detail is what changes everything. Because once the caller references a real piece of your life, your brain stops asking, "Who is this?" It starts asking, "How bad is this?" That is the handoff. Fear replaces skepticism, and the system loves that trade. A recent congressional report estimated that breaches tied to major data brokers have cost Americans more than $20 billion in identity theft-linked losses. Just 4 major broker-related breaches over the last decade exposed hundreds of millions of people. That number matters, less as a statistic than as a feeling. It means the raw material for believable fraud is already everywhere. Not in one dark warehouse, everywhere. This is the part most people never picture. The clean side, the normal side, the side with office lighting and legal language. The databases do not arrive dressed like criminals. They arrive looking like marketing optimization, risk scoring, lead enrichment, identity resolution, compliance support, public record search, consumer intelligence, fraud prevention, customer verification. That is why the machine survives. Every layer describes itself as neutral. One company says it only aggregates, another says it only resells, another says it only verifies, another says it only hosts, another says it only matches records across partners. By the end, no single desk claims responsibility for the feeling you get when a stranger on the phone knows exactly which fear will make you stay on the line. The public version of this system is convenience. The private version is preloaded intimacy. It lets unknown people sound 1 step ahead of you before trust is earned. Because it is not built like a lie, it is built like a guided reaction. The caller does not need to invent your whole life. He only needs enough truth to trap your attention. One correct detail, then another, then a controlled problem, then an offer to resolve the problem quickly. That is why these calls do not feel like old cartoon fraud anymore. They feel like crisis management. You are not being sold nonsense. You are being pushed into a state, urgency, isolation, embarrassment, compliance. The call is designed to make you feel late inside your own life, late to a breach, late to fraud, late to a decision that already seems to be happening without you. Once you feel late, you become easier to steer. There is a reason this world keeps producing the same kind of convincing threat. It has a supply chain. One part leaks, one part scrapes, one part merges, one part enriches, one part sells access, one part makes the call. The person speaking to you may not know where the first piece came from. The person who sold the file may never hear your voice. The company that made the opt-out process invisible may never speak to the broker that handled the data after the breach. But all of them live inside the same weather system. And you feel the storm at the very end, on a Tuesday morning, with a voice calling your name and pretending to rescue you from a danger it already understands. That is why this world is so hard to fight emotionally. It does not look like one villain. It looks like paperwork, APIs, mirror databases, copy-pasted records, hidden pages, risk models, and people telling themselves they are only one layer in the chain. The scariest scam is not the one that sounds aggressive. It is the one that sounds informed. The moment the caller proves he knows something real, your body starts solving the wrong problem. Instead of asking whether this person deserves trust, you start trying to reduce damage. That shift is everything. You stop guarding the boundary. You start participating in the emergency. That is why people hang up and still feel shaken, even when they did not give up the final piece. The violation happened earlier. It happened the moment a stranger used your own life to direct your emotions. He did not need your confidence. He only needed your attention arranged in the right order. Real detail, then fear, then urgency, then a solution. It is industrialized social engineering, but the factory is not only the call center. The factory is the entire market that keeps your identity cheap, copyable, and portable. Because the machine improves even when no single criminal gets smarter. Each leak teaches the next actor what a believable profile looks like. Each merger gives another broker more confidence that a phone number belongs to the same human as a home address, an age bracket, a household record, a prior purchase, a trip pattern, or a financial institution. Each stolen file lowers the cost of sounding legitimate. And each time a victim says, "They knew way too much," that is not a mystery. That is the system working as designed. Not designed for the scammer maybe, but designed for maximum circulation, maximum retention, maximum resale, maximum confidence that a human being can be rebuilt from fragments and delivered to whoever pays next. The scammer is exploiting that design, but the design existed long before the call. The quiet horror is not that one bad actor knows your number. It is that your identity keeps becoming easier to stage. A fake bank call, a fake billing call, a fake fraud review, a fake courier, a fake security team. All of it works because the underlying profile feels real enough to enter your nervous system before your logic can catch up. And once that happens, the call is no longer just about money. It becomes about memory. You remember the exact tone. You remember the first correct detail. You remember the point where your stomach dropped. After that, even real alerts feel contaminated. The machine does not just steal accounts, it poisons trust. So when you think back on the call, do not picture only the stranger on the other end. Picture the quieter rooms behind him. The registration forms, the broker pages, the breach archives, the invisible opt-out links, the customer profiles, the copied records. The normal offices where your life was converted into something transferable, because that is the real reason the scam call felt personal. It was personal. Not because the caller knew you, because a market had already assembled a version of you detailed enough to weaponize. You did not receive a random call. You collided with a system that had been approaching you for years.